Maybe you should say a little bit about the landscape for people who haven't had the chance to read the book yet, or indeed to visit Palestine.
It's a very different landscape from the landscape in Scotland, for example, because of course it gets rain only for about 4-5 months at the most. And so when it gets rain, it becomes very green and full of wildflowers of all sorts. But this ends very quickly by end of April, definitely. Sometimes if we're lucky and we get rain in April, it lingers a little longer. And then there's absolutely no rain. And so a lot dries up, except for the succulents and some of the thistles. But the land, of course, is not mountainous, it's hilly, and very varied, because there are deep valleys, soft hills, some dry rivers, or many dry rivers actually, a lot of springs, not all of them still active because of the excessive pumping of water. But I must say the land has its beauty at every season. And it's not always the beauty of greenery, because the rock formations have peculiar beauty to them as well. And then, of course, we're a small land, but at the same time with a great variety, because we have the Jordan Valley, we have several, the central hills, and about 3 valleys in between, deep valleys. And then the coastal side, which plain, which is mostly the case in Gaza. And so there is a great beauty, and it's a precious beauty. It's not a dramatic beauty, but you have to experience it to appreciate it. It doesn't always photograph very well either.
But it's a very vulnerable beauty
And
to
vulnerable.
and maybe you should say a little bit about that, and to what it is vulnerable.
Well, of course, the plan to introduce hundreds of thousands of new people into the land in a very short period of time by building settlements with all that the settlements need of infrastructure. And then, of course, the roads that are being built to connect the settlements to Israel do not follow the contours of the land. They are wide roads and do maximum damage in order to be able to advertise that you can live in an Israeli settlement and get to your place of work in the coastal region in a very short period of time. So the amount of damage that is being done by the building of settlements themselves and the infrastructure and the roads and so on is tremendous, and it's doing a great harm. And it's not the normal harm that happens because of development and growth of population. It's an artificial infusion of a large number of people very quickly. And of course then there is the wall, which has a purely political interest of connecting or annexing at least 10% of the land, if not more, into Israel. And the wall again creates a great damage to the countryside. And I think by and large a lot of what is happening is inspired or motivated by money making, because there are sometimes things that you can't understand at all. Why would the wall go around so many twists and turns, except in order to get more concrete poured, and those who are making concrete get more money? Because otherwise, why would the wall follow that route? So so there is a lot of motivation from the money makers who conspire to even do more damage than would otherwise be done to the land.
I think with that slightly depressing note, I'm going to throw the floor open for questions. Will you raise one arm if you'd like to ask a question? Everyone right over here, and wait for the microphone.
Bernard Crick started this session in praise of publishers, and I just quickly want to add a praise for Andrew. Because
No. Questions for Raja, please.
Yes,
Questions for Raja.
I'm going to move on. Published my first book, and it was lovely to be encouraged rather than patronised. But my main point in speaking was to ask Raja about the reaction, whether he knows there are reactions of settlers to your publication, and whether you ever have any meetings with settlers, and whether any of them are aware of the beauty of the country that their inroads are actually raping as well?
I describe in the book one such meeting, and there was another time when we as a group were walking near the Dead Sea area, and a settler with his dogs and many pistols and machine guns stopped us and arrested us, really. He refused to allow us to move until the army came, and then the army went through all the pictures and made us delete the pictures of the landscape. It wasn't a very good confrontation. The interesting thing was that there was a review of the book by the correspondent for the environment in Haaretz, the largest Israeli paper. And he appreciated the fact that there is a lot of damage that is being done to the landscape, and he regretted this. And he was praising the book in general. And then he ended with this by describing the last section where there is the meeting with the settler. But he wrote about it as though it was a friendly confrontation, and he missed the fact that the settler had the gun. And I think that there cannot be any justice, any conciliation without first going through the injustice and doing something about the injustice. So in a way it was wishful thinking on the part of this Israeli correspondent that the Palestinians can befriend the settlers without the presence of the guns of the settlers, without going through the injustice. And hopefully we will get to a point in time when all of us living in that land will begin to think of ourselves and of our land as one, and think of the future, because the future is going to be quite dismal because of the scarcity of the land, scarcity of water for one. Of course we live under a great danger, because when you look at the way the settlements are situated, almost every Arab town and village has a settlement higher up, and you wonder, when they are so close by and not making any attempt at being friendly, on the other hand, on the contrary, making every attempt at being unfriendly, where is it going to lead? It's, in a way, you can't help thinking it's either us or them, and this is a terrible thought, because if it's either us or them, either Israel or Palestine, we are both going to end up in this great destruction, and therefore destruction of the land as well.